Rich, here we are for our third episode of The Life and Times of Emlen Tunnell. Just for a little recap of what we've done in the first two episodes, we took our card set that Choice Marketing made in 2017, and for the first episode we went through the first 7 cards, and pretty soon on the screen we'll be able to see that card set. There it is. And then for the second episode we went through 8 through 15.
Right.
So that covered the first 2 episodes as an introduction to Emlen's life and times. Being a graduate of Radnor High School in 1942, and we're very happy now to take episode 3 up until one of the most exciting things that ever happened to Delaware County sports as far as I'm concerned. Now, in 2017, a statue was commissioned, led by our Vice President, Phil Damiami. Jennifer Dacus-Petrie was hired.
Well, commissioned, yeah. We commissioned her to...
for a 7-foot bronze statue.
Right.
And that happened in 2017. And we were really happy to see, as soon as we did that, the honors that were conferred on Emlen Tunnell from that time period. For example, in the summer of 2017, Gil Brandt, who was an analyst for the NFL Films, selected the top, you can help me out here, safeties.
Yeah, the top safeties of all time in pro football.
And one of the things that I've noticed about our museum is sometimes you don't really get an impact on how great these athletes are until you find out who they competed against and really did a job in defeating them. For example, Jean Shiley won the 32 gold medal. Most people from Delaware County don't know that, but she defeated one of the greatest female athletes of all time.
Babe Dietrichson.
Babe Dietrichson. Mickey Vernon won the 1946 batting title, and people don't really think of that until you say, well, he defeated Ted Williams. Now it becomes that much more impactful,
exactly.
I think. And Danny Murtaugh, when he was given the honor of being the Sports Man of the Year, well, one of the runners-up was Willie Mays. Again, it's much more impactful.
Yeah.
Andy Matter at Penn State, when he became the top male athlete.
Yes, in the senior class.
Yeah. And who did he beat out?
Franco Harris.
Franco Harris.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of unusual. Leroy Burrell, world's fastest humans, one of the individuals that he was in competition, the greatest amount of time was Carl Lewis.
Yeah.
Bo Ryan, highest winning percentage, second highest, Bobby Knight. Mike Socha caught more games than any Dodger catcher. Who came in second? Roy Campanella, John Roseberry. So same thing with Emlen Tunnell. So when he became the top defensive back of all time.
Or the top safety.
Safety.
Gil Brandt split them up, cornerbacks, safeties. Yeah, well, actually, number 5 on the list is Brian Dawkins from the Eagles.
Exactly, and that's what I mean. People are going to say, well, Brian Dawkins.
Yeah.
They know Brian Dawkins, but they don't know Emlen Tunnell. But Emlen Tunnell was surpassed Brian Dawkins.
And it's a great group of guys. Ed Reed from the Ravens, who had 64 career interceptions. Ronnie Lott from the 49ers. He's 3rd on the list. Ken Houston from the Houston Oilers is 2nd. And then here you have Emlen Tunnell from Little Radnor High School in Delaware County as the number 1 safety of all time. We're talking about 100 years, 1920 to 2020. I mean, to be the number 1 safety of all time.
Out of 100 years of competition.
Quite an accomplishment.
I know when I was watching that show, I think he did the first top 32, 35, somewhere in that area. So I'm watching, he's down to 25, no Emlen Tunnell, he's down to 20, no Emlen Tunnell, he's down to the top 10, no Emlen Tunnell, down to the top 5, no Emlen Tunnell. I'm thinking, what's going on here? I hope he's on the list.
Yeah, right.
Next thing I know, he's number 1.
Number 1.
That was one of the biggest surprises, I think, of my tenure here at the Sports Legends of Delaware County Museum. So that was one of the honors. And then next, in the fall of 2017, the Delco Veterans Freedom Medal Awards dinner Emlen Tunnell was recognized, and one of our own, Brad Now, did a 5-minute video special for this particular show, and that's what we're going to take a look at now.
Yeah,
so
that's
for
a
those
great video.
Those that don't know 100% what they should be knowing about Emlen Tunnell, especially a Radnor High School graduate, let's take a look at this 5 minutes to fill us in.
He walked uncharted roads as an adventurer, a pioneer.
There's something to be said about being first.
And as he achieved greatness, he became a legend.
He was one of those guys that wasn't going to let go of his dream.
The journey began here.
This is Garrett Avenue.
In the quiet community of Garrett Hill, in this modest house in Delaware County.
We used to play marbles up this alley here, and then Mrs. Tunnell would have us in once in a while for cookies or whatever.
A trip that would eventually take him nearly 6 hours away to Canton, Ohio.
Emlen Tunnell was, in many ways, a player ahead of his time.
Growing up in a multiracial community during depressed times, there was rarely anything Emlen Tunnell couldn't do. This lean, strong, and swift athlete was a two-sport star and excelled whenever he had the ball.
I hope that he gets all the recognition that he deserves.
Childhood friend Bill Lyons is one of the few left from the gang at Garrett Hill.
Beautiful. I walk here just about every day.
Now 86 years old, he remembers the good old days and his good friend Emlen Tunnell.
When he came home, I mean, everybody was glad to talk to him, you know, and be a friend of his.
What Tunnell did on this field in the 1930s captured the small town's attention, and his star began to rise.
Tunnell was he was the whole team.
Everybody that played with him and played against him said he was probably the best athlete they ever played against.
He was all Delaware County, all suburban, first team All-State, both his junior and senior year. Just without a doubt, one of the best athletes in Delaware County history. He did it all, and during that time period, you did it all.
After suffering a neck injury in college, Tunnell enlisted in the Coast Guard, where he would become a war hero, saving 2 lives. Once back home, he hit the road, making his way to Iowa to finish up his college career. Then, by using part of his now famous hands, he arrived on the doorstep of the National Football League.
He literally hitchhiked. He hitchhiked from the West Coast to the East Coast because he wanted to try out with the New York Giants. He hitchhiked a ride on a truck driven by a West Indian man delivering bananas. That's who drove him across the country. He gets to New York and just goes into the New York Giants offices, unannounced, no appointment, nothing arranged, and he just walks in and says, I want to try out. Clearly a different age of pro football that you could do that. You're not going to do that today. But they worked him out and they realized, well, this guy can really play.
On grit and confidence, he made it to the NFL, writing a new chapter in the game's history book.
Of course, this is very early football too, and you didn't have nearly as many African Americans playing, and I think the Giants took a chance on him.
Yes, I do believe. Those early years with the Giants were some of the best teams ever to play. Tunnell's presence on defense helped the game evolve, and after a few championships, it was off with his friend Lombardi to Green Bay.
I guess what Lombardi saw in Tunnell was his physical ability, number one, that's the obvious. The strength of his character and his desire to play this game. And the other part was his intelligence.
But Tunnell's heart never really left Delaware County. It was all about family, and he put his money where his heart was.
This is a house that Emlen bought for his mother. I think it was his second or third paycheck from the Giants.
When his career ended, he was literally labeled a game changer. His 79 career interceptions were an all-time record. And then Canton came calling.
He was the offense on defense, Emlen Tunnell. He was the all-time leader in punt returns, punt return yardage, punt return average across the board. I mean, he really made a significant impact in the history of the game.
Emlen Tunnell's likeness sits now among the greatest to ever play the game. This bust stands testament to a man who played with character and brilliance, while increasing the awareness for all of us so we can now reflect.
Emlen Tunnell Field.
In a small park off Garrett Street that bears his name, a plaque reminds those passing through of where they are walking.
When you walk on this field, know that you are walking in the footsteps of a giant.
Something Tunnell's longtime friend Bill Lyons knew all along.
I just wish he was still here, that's all.
Well, Rich, that video tribute by Brad now is one for the ages.
Outstanding. Yeah, I haven't seen that in quite some time, but
And we're so happy to have him on our board. He's not from Delaware County, but we adopted him as somebody that we can actually say has done as much for Delaware County through his videos as anybody, any other artist that I can think of.
without a doubt, yeah.
Now, a gentleman that was highlighted in the video was Bill Lyons. And Bill Lyons is in his 90s now. He's still living, and was a team, not necessarily a teammate. I think when he was in 9th grade, Emlen was a senior. And had such an impact on Mr. Lyons that his son is now doing a book on him.
Yeah, Dave Lyons,
Dave
who
Lyons.
lives out in California. I just spoke with him recently, and hoping to have the book done at the end of the year, in December of this year.
But it's kind of strange that he's been working on this book for quite a while, but as time goes by, there's more information placed in the book.
Yeah.
You know, for example, the commissioning of on October the 15th of the Coast Guard cutter, I'm sure he's going to make a big part of the book. So
Yeah.
we're very happy that there's people that are still living in the Garrett Hills area that were familiar with Emlen.
Yeah.
On a history basis, really. Now, what we've had from 2008, June 2nd, 2018, was the actual statue unveiling of Jennifer Fredakis' Petrie's statue of Emlen Tunnell, and that was an exciting day.
Great day.
There's a photograph that we have on the screen taken at night of Emlen Tunnell. And that day we had Billy White Shoes Johnson as our keynote speaker, really, who did such a wonderful job. Matter of fact, he did such a wonderful job that there's some talk about a statue
Of Billy, yeah.
being built in his honor.
Yeah.
And Billy Johnson and Emlen Tunnell have something else in common. When the NFL in the year 2000, prior to the Super Bowl, had their top 100 players selected of all time, 2 were actually from Delaware County. And that's a blazer there on the screen that was given to Emlen Tunnell's family. And we were so lucky that the family has decided that perhaps the best place for that would be at our museum.
Very
So
nice.
that blazer is on display at 301 Ivan Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania, in one of our showcases, and we're so happy to have that. And Billy White Shoes Johnson, another Delaware County football player that we just got through talking about, also has one of those blazers.
Yeah.
It's miraculous that 2 players from Delaware County.
I just think that's possibly a record in itself, that 2 of the players on this 100th anniversary team are from the same county in Pennsylvania. I don't know if any other players can say that are in that. And they were both on the 75th anniversary team too. And 25 years later, Emlen as a safety and Billy Johnson as a punt returner.
And we know Emlen's the first African-American, first defensive back to be elected to the Football Hall of Fame. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. Unfortunately, Billy White Shoes Johnson has yet to be elected.
But the rumors are that he's going to be getting in soon. Yeah.
Well, out of those top 100 players, he might be the only one eligible that's not in the Hall of Fame.
I think he is the only one that's not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
So that's something that we're going to have to follow and keep up on. Now, we're going to have a video of the cutter that's going to be commissioned on October the 15th. 2021. And when we take a look at this video, it's such a moment of pride. I think that here we have, it's the only military ship that I can think of that's been named after an athlete in the entire United States.
Right.
So that is something that all of Delaware County, and especially Radnor Township, should be proud of. And there's the picture of the actual ship, the Coast Guard cutter, Emlen Tunnell. And if you notice the number, it has number 1145. Well, the 45 is representative of the number that Emlen Tunnell wore during his entire career in the NFL, both with the Giants and with the Packers.
And I think what's really nice about this commissioning, we're going to be able to attend the event because it's going to be right here in Philadelphia where it's commissioned and right in his backyard.
I'm so happy you said that. If we can take a look at that picture that was on the screen, Bollinger Shipyard Company is in Louisiana, and they just gave that to the Coast Guard. Coast Guard actually purchased that ship from the shipyard company, and now it's currently in Key West, Florida, and in a couple of months it'll be taking its trip under its own power up the Delaware River to the Coast Guard Delaware Base Station in Philadelphia, which is where the commissioning is going to be held.
It's going to be a great day.
And people that are interested in learning something about being a sponsor of that commissioning should contact us at 301 Ivan Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania. My phone number will go on the screen at some point in time, 610-909-4919. And if you'd like to get involved in the commissioning of this ship, because what an honor it is. It's an entire honor for all of Delaware County, and it's going to be a national story.
Without a doubt.
And when we look at that picture, we're going to update the card set. And one of the cards that we're going to include is the actual cutter named after Emlen Tunnell, as well as a couple other shots that we're going to have. One of which will be cards we're going to have. One of which will be the blazer. We're going to include the blazer, and on the back of that, we'll tell you how we got it and the people involved. And then another card that we're going to add is going to be the induction in 1967. Is that when it was?
1967, yeah.
Into the National Football League Hall of Fame. And there's the photograph, Rich, and maybe you can tell the viewers out there something about that.
Yeah, there were 7 individuals inducted in 1967. There were 4 players: Bobby Lane, outstanding quarterback; Ken Strong, another Eagle, Chuck Bednarik, Concrete Charlie, who's one of the great Eagles of all time, and then of course Emlen Tunnell, who was the first African American to ever be inducted, first defensive player ever to be inducted. And there were a couple owners of NFL teams, Dan Reeves and Charles Bidwell. And then there was a famous coach, Paul Brown, who started the Cleveland Browns. And so they were the 7 that got inducted in 1967, and Emlen was one of those 7, which I think in that picture you see him at the podium accepting his award.
And one of the interesting things about that picture, as far as I'm concerned, especially in this day and age, first that's Chuck Bednarik on the far left.
Far left, yeah.
Yeah, which is, well, if you have to name the top Eagles of all time, he's certainly going to be in the mix.
Well, exactly.
But when you look at that picture and you look at all the people in the background, you'll notice that Emlen Tunnell is the only African American president.
Yeah.
And the reason he's the only African American president is he's the first African American to be elected to the Football Hall of Fame.
Right.
Which is puts him on the Mount Rushmore of sports, as far as we're concerned. And he's a Delaware County, hometown Delaware County man. So that picture actually comes from the Tunnell family album, along with the picture of Emlen Tunnell serving in the Coast Guard when he was home on leave. And there's another picture that's going to go in our card set right there, which is the Coast Guard was so happy to get this picture. Because up until this time, they didn't have a shot of Emlen in his Coast Guard uniform serving in the military during World War II.
Not only is it difficult to find people who knew him, it's difficult to find pictures too of, that's a good example of, I had never seen the photo before of him accepting the award at the
That's the
Out
only
kid.
known photo that we're aware of
Yeah.
Emlen Tunnell in the Coast Guard uniform. And when Bill McKinstry, the person who actually was very responsible for all of this that's going on, when he saw that we were able to get that picture, he was dumbfounded.
Yeah.
You know, it's certainly going to be something that's going to be prized in our new card set that's going to come out for the commissioning.
And he lived in walking distance of this studio, really,
Yeah.
where we're doing the show from.
And he
So
talks
he's-
about how he spent more time in Villanova than just about his own neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's just a wonderful story, wonderful Delaware County, Radnor Township story, and one that should be
The people
taken seriously.
should know about too, yeah.
Now, what we try to do is preserve history, and we try to honor excellence, and we also try to connect the generations. And one of the ways in which we try to connect the generation in this regard is we're going to have a coloring contest. And the coloring contest, there it is. There's the outline that was produced by an artist friend of ours, Bill Sweeney, and he did that for us. And we're sending this, in the process of sending it to all the camps, summer camps in Delaware County. And when school starts in September, we'll try to get it to the elementary schools. So we're counting elementary students up till 6th grade.
Right.
I'm trying to figure out, well, you know, when you think of an elementary school student, what grade do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are only till 5th grade
Yeah,
now
but-
because of middle schools. But
But we're going to take it up to 6th grade.
Yeah.
Okay, because we don't want to deny anybody the chance to participate in that. So those that are interested in getting that form that they can use can contact us, again, at 301 Ivan Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania. Give me a call, and I'll see that you get one. And we're going to have some prizes, and they're going to be cash awards. So we're going to have a first place, second place, and third place prize for the winner, and the winner will be very happy to receive the cash award to recommend their hard work. And I'm thinking about, there's a magazine called Delaware County Magazine that they were nice enough to put that Emlen Tunnell coloring sheet in here. So the sponsors of this magazine, Delaware County Magazine, which is a complimentary magazine that's found in a lot of the Wawa stores, and they send it, they mail it to all the homes. So if you're familiar with getting that, please feel free to get in touch with us. Now, some people might have a question as to the color that this ship should be. So they can use our website, and on our website we have a video of the ship that's shown in motion, and I think it's a very impressive 1 and 20-minute video that we'll be taking a look at now, so people can have an idea as to, get some help on what colors should be used, not only for the ship itself, but for the ocean,
Yeah.
the water body that it's in.
yeah.
So that video was something that's very, very impressive, and the Coast Guard said it's going to be a game changer. Just like Emlen Tunnell was a game changer in terms of the amount of interceptions and all the records that he had. So we're very proud of that. And if you want to take a look at that again, look at our website, delcosportsmuseum.org or www.emlentunnell.org. And we have that video on both of those websites. Now, when we're talking about Emlen Tunnell and we talk about his military heroics, we also have to, I think we should mention some of the other prominent Delaware County athletes that actually served in the military. And one of the reasons we have our museum is because we can go so far back into history. For example, we have our first professional baseball player, Tom Berry, who actually fought in the Civil War. I mean, how many counties can trace their athletes back to the Civil War?
Right.
Not many.
And he played baseball for the Philadelphia Athletics team
Yes.
in the 1800s.
And then you go to World War I, and you have people like Ted Meredith.
Who learned how to fly, too. He was a flyer during the war and a pilot. I just think that's amazing. It's not like driving a car, you know. It's
and we're talking, what, 1916, 17,
Yeah,
18,
yeah.
in that area. And then you had somebody like Jimmy Dykes, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Dykes in World War I, the longtime, player and manager for the Athletics.
So, matter of fact, the screen has a list of some of the players. I think there's 24 that we have listed there, and we're going to do a whole show on them, at some point in time. But then you go from World War II to World War I to World War II, and you really have a tremendous amount of athletes there. Danny Murtaugh, Mickey Vernon, Joe Crawford. Just the list goes on and on and on. Bob Nylon.
Right.
And I think and these are all in our museum. So I think it's surprising that people know that one of the reasons that we have red, white, and blue as one of our chief colors in our museum because of the patriotic nature of the athletes that have served. So that's something for the people to see when they come to our museum. And again, our museum is open Monday through Friday. And I would say 9 to 3 would be the best hours. It's open a little bit before then, but 9 to 3 would be a good time. You don't want to get there right before it closes and get thrown out.
Right.
So it closes at 4 o'clock, but if you get there at 3 o'clock, you still have an hour that you can take a look around and see what we're looking at there. And because there's a lot of the photographs of the military people that we just mentioned are in the museum, and it's a nice thing to be able to recognize their service as well. So is there anything that you'd like to say in the last 20 seconds that we have, Rich?
Well, no, I'm just excited for October 15th when we can go to, because I didn't know where it was going to be in the country when they commissioned his ship. It could have been in California, and so it makes it more accessible for us to get there right here in Philadelphia. So I'm looking forward to that.
And not only that, but we're going to really make a commitment to try to bring the crew to our museum to get a photo shoot of the crew around the statue.
The statue we have.
That'll really be an exciting event at that particular time. So for those that are involved in the coloring contest, there's a picture of the ship. Do the best you can. Submit it to 301 Ivan Avenue, Wayne, Pennsylvania, 19087, and we'll let you know how you do. And you got some time. You got the whole summer and the month of September in which to complete this. So we're going to wrap it up, and this is episode number 3 of the Life and Times of Emlen Tunnell. The other 2 episodes are on our website, and this will be added within the next couple of days. So thank you.